everybody. In case you're joining us early, we're actually right on time. Natalia should be joining us here in a moment. So welcome. Thanks for being here. Hi there. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. Hello. Just a few minutes. We're gonna get going in just a second. I wanted to make sure that we have a little bit of time for everybody to join. So we'll get started here in just a moment. We're gonna have Natalia join us as well today, which is very exciting. Thanks everybody for joining. We're gonna get started here in just a moment. Thanks for joining, everyone. I'm so happy that you're all here. This is really impressive and amazing. So I'm really thankful that everybody showed up today. We're gonna go over some of the basics of the E2 visa today. I'm gonna give everybody another 30 seconds or so and then we'll get started. But thanks everybody for joining. I really, really appreciate it. So let's see. Hi, Natalia, I see you're here. Let's bring hi there.
Hi.
Hi, great to see you. We've got quite a group today, so I'm really excited to be speaking about the E2 visa. So let's get started, everybody. Everybody's had a little bit of time to log in. So I will introduce myself. My name is Angie Rupert. I am the founder of Rupert Law Group. We focus on E2 visas for people all over the world wanting to come to the United States. So we're thrilled to be speaking with you. And this is Natalia Rapero, and she also works with lots of E2 visa applicants from all over the world. So thanks so much, Natalia. I'm excited to be doing our first Instagram Live.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you all for being here.
It is amazing. It's amazing that I got it to work. So thanks so much for Tatiana for helping me understand what it is that I'm doing. But anyway, let's talk about something that I definitely know what I'm doing, the E2 visa. So today we're going to go over some of the basics. And there's a lot that we're not going to be able to cover today, but join us again. We're going to be doing these live on occasion and focusing really on a lot of specific topics and specific questions that we get all the time. But for today, let's talk a little bit about what is the E2 visa and who is it for? I can say that the majority of our clients, well, let's back up. Anyone that wants an E2 visa is someone that says, I want to start or buy a business in the United States, or I've already started or bought a business in the United States and I want to send some employees over to work in that business. So those are the two types of people who really want an E2 visa and who is right for the E2 visa. But Natalia, tell us a little bit. You also, obviously, we work with people together all the time. What type of person, or what would be a good characteristic of someone who would be a good applicant for the E2 visa?
Bueno, voy a hablar yo en español. Un buen aplicante para una visa sería una persona que actualmente tiene un negocio en su país de origen, entonces en este caso una mediana o pequeña o grande empresa y quiere expandir esa empresa a los Estados Unidos. Entonces se van a los Estados Unidos precisamente para empezar ese negocio y para expandir sus conocimientos a un nuevo país.
Yes. What she said. Everybody, Natalia is our resident Spanish speaker. I am our resident English speaker, but Natalia also speaks English too, so she's twice as good as I am. So great. So anybody that wants to start or buy a business in the US or has already done so and wants to send employees over, these are the types of people that we can help get visas to come to the United States. So let's go over the requirements a little bit. I would say one of the most important requirements right off the top is that you have to have a passport from a treaty country. The great news is there are about 80 treaty countries. Those would include some of the most common would be Canada, the UK, Australia, Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, Chile. Let's see. Geez, Natalia, we help people from all over. I'm trying to think of all of the countries.
All over the world.
But let's talk about some of the Spanish-speaking countries. We have Spain, right? Colombia, Mexico. What am I missing?
Argentina,
Chile, Panama,
Venezuela.
No Venezuela. No Venezuela. But we have, but there are a lot. There are a lot, especially in Central and South America, a lot of Spanish-speaking countries, and a lot of visas issued down there. So that's the great news. So there are, as I mentioned, probably 80 treaty countries or so. So that's going to be the important part. Now, if you don't have a passport from a treaty country, there are opportunities to get them. We can talk about that in another Instagram live, but there are passports out there that you apply for through a variety of different ways and potentially get one in order to get the E2 visa. And that is common too. We'll talk about that in another one. So that's one of the most important ones. The other one is the investment amount. So this is not for the employees of the company, but obviously for the person that starts the company. So I normally tell people it's about $100,000 or so. Natalia, let's talk a little bit more about that.
Sí, digamos que el mínimo de inversión que recomendamos para empezar esta empresa es un mínimo de $100,000 para todo lo que es equipos, arrendamiento, empleados. Entonces, sí, el recomendado siempre van a ser $100,000.
Right. And so, but there is no minimum amount, right?
No, digamos que el gobierno de Estados Unidos dice que tiene que ser una inversión sustancial. Esto depende del tipo de negocio, puede ser más, puede ser menos, dependiendo de los equipos que necesiten para operar. Pero no dice que tiene que ser una inversión fija, exacta, simplemente sustancial.
Right. So, and I think probably what you said, if I heard a couple of the words correctly, is sometimes you need to spend much more than $100,000. That depends a lot on what type of business that you start or buy. Usually we don't see people invest less than 100,000. It's usually right around that mark. So keep that in mind. If this is something that interests you and you're an investor, meaning you're the person that wants to buy or start the business, not the employee, then you're going to need probably about $100,000 at least, and maybe more depending on the type of business, right?
Exacto.
Yes. Yeah.
Depende del tipo de negocio que va.
So then let's talk about another important question that we get all the time is how long does this take? And what is the timeline and what all is involved? So I'll start in the most simplest terms. What I tell people, and probably what you tell people as well, Natalia, is there are three kind of sections to an E2 visa application. Section number one, the great news is it's going to be completely up to you. You will be gathering a lot of documents with our guidance. Section number two is we put the application together. And section number three, we send it to the government and they review and set up an interview for you. So section number one, this is where we let you know all of the documents that we're going to need, and then we speak with you at regular intervals, helping you all along the way while you gather all of these documents. And it takes most people about 3 or 4 months to get all of those documents together. And then once all of the documents are there, it takes us about 2 weeks to put an application together. And then we send it off to the U.S. consulate or embassy in your home country, wherever you live, and they review. So each consulate handles the review a little bit differently. If this were 2019, I would tell you it takes between 4 and 6 weeks typically to get an interview, sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes a little bit less. Now that we are still in COVID, it is taking a little bit longer, but I anticipate that those kind of barriers and those timelines will decrease with time. So Natalia, let's talk a little bit about the document gathering process. What kind of timelines do you see typically?
Digamos que el proceso depende mucho de la inversión de la persona, pero normalmente lo primero que hacemos es pedir todos los documentos. Se pueden demorar de 1 a 4 meses, dependiendo de la persona, dependiendo de la inversión, pero nosotros siempre lo guiamos en todos los documentos que son necesarios para la aplicación. Después de esto, necesitamos por lo menos un mínimo de 2 semanas para poner la aplicación junta, todos los documentos, que quede perfecta, y después de esto se manda a la embajada de Estados Unidos o el consulado en el país de origen, y ellos se pueden demorar normalmente, antes de COVID, de 4 a 6 semanas. En este momento las fechas varían por el COVID, entonces se puede demorar de 1 a 2 meses, dependiendo del consulado o la embajada del país.
Right. So a lot of it's going to depend on the country that you're from, right? And how that consulate is handling COVID and how long it takes there. But that's the process. So normally, if someone were to start the E2 visa process today, I would tell them it's probably about 6 months or so until you get your interview, just based on averages. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it's a little bit shorter. But, you know, with COVID, we have to add some time on. So I tell people it's probably going to be about 9 months. But again, hopefully within the coming months and in the fall and winter, we can start seeing those timelines on the government end sped up. Natalia?
Entonces, digamos que el tiempo total es por lo menos 6 meses. Esto, como les dije, depende del inversionista, depende de cuánto se demora en conseguir los documentos, pero una vez se manda, son por lo menos 6 meses en completo.
Yeah, great. So those are kind of the topics that I really wanted to cover today. I think those are kind of some of the important topics, but I'm not sure. There might be a few questions out there. Let's see. Now you're testing my Instagram skills. This is the scary part. Okay, and Natalia, you don't see any of these questions. Let's see. Okay, so we have a question. We have a question again about the investment, or actually, sorry, let me actually back up. So we have a question about the type of business, right? So what type of business is best for an E2 visa? And the reality is you can do anything you want. We have a lot of people that start their own businesses, and then we have others that buy already existing businesses or franchises. And we have had successful applications with both of those options. Natalia, let's talk a little bit about some of our most recent applicants. What type of businesses? I mean, a wide variety. Let's talk about, geez, we filed one in Croatia recently. We have a few pending in Canada, some in the UK. We have some in Mexico. Let's talk a little bit about those types of businesses.
Bueno, de nuestros clientes recientes hemos tenido cualquier tipo de negocio. Hemos tenido empresas de marketing, hemos tenido franquicias que compran y montan su negocio en Estados Unidos. Hemos tenido clientes que compran ya un negocio existente. Hemos tenido empresas de transporte de carga, donde compran camiones. Hemos tenido consultoras. Hemos tenido restaurantes. Cualquier tipo de negocio que se pueda montar, lo hemos tenido en nuestros clientes. Y sí, cualquiera es posible dependiendo de la inversión.
Yes. Okay. Fantastic. So a lot of different variety. I would say the one thing that I caution people against, and this one's pretty obvious, but the business needs to be legal. Right. Other than that, there are not a lot of requirements as far as the type of business. So think about that. You know, the great news about the E2 visa is it really is for people who want to follow that American dream of opening a business, running your own business, being in charge of your own life. Pick something you enjoy, pick something you like, pick something you want to do. You do not have to do any certain type of business. Okay. I have another question here. Can I apply as a UK citizen but not living in the UK? So, Martin, I have bad news for you. The UK is literally the only country in the entire world that states that you must live on the British Isles of the UK in order to apply at the US consulate or embassy rather in London. However, I have had people that have lived outside of the UK and they come back to the UK for 2 to 3 months before the application. So we can see they are currently residing and living in the UK. So it really is a matter of strategy for those in the UK. Now, for someone from, let's say, Mexico or Australia or France, you could be living anywhere and have that passport. We also have people that have dual passports, right? And so maybe one is not a treaty country, but one is a treaty country. For example, a recent client who is a South African passport holder and lived his whole life in South Africa, but also had this Grenada passport, had never lived in Grenada, but can still apply using the Grenada passport, even though he's never lived there. That is how most of the world works, with the exception of the UK. But again, you can do it by living in the UK for 2 to 3 months before the application process, showing that you have a place to live there, showing bank statements that you've been spending money in and around, you know, England, Wales, Scotland, what have you. That should satisfy that requirement. Let's see. Now here is a question in Spanish, and I do not dare read it because
they're asking to translate the questions. I was going to say, with Colombia, it happens the same. You have to prove the residency in here in order to apply.
Right, which is not technically a requirement. They are just a little ornery about it. And so they want to see that you're residing there, but that is not technically a requirement. The UK is the only one in the regulations that have that requirement, but you're right. And maybe we can talk a little bit about that. So it's not legally a requirement, and you can still apply in Colombia, but the issue is you're going to get kicked to the back of the line, right?
Entonces, en Colombia no es un requerimiento oficial o digamos que escrito, pero sí piden tener una prueba de residencia en Colombia por el último año. Esto se hace con un certificado de movimientos migratorios. Entonces, no es obligación mostrar este certificado, pero siempre es preferible mostrar estas, digamos que pequeños documentos que pueden sumar puntos a tu aplicación.
Great. So I just got another question. This was an interesting one. An existing E2 application. So the only way, well, actually, sorry, you all can't read my mind, can you? Does an existing E2 application show on travel documents and potentially complicate travel to the United States? So it really depends where your visa is in the process. And it shouldn't complicate things. But if you're still working with your attorney gathering documents, or your attorney's putting your application together or something like that, no government on earth has any idea you're doing anything, right? It's still between you and the attorney, so there's nothing pending. Now, if it's actually at already the embassy or the consulate and it's pending, that shouldn't complicate things, because everyone knows, particularly within the year of COVID, things are taking so long at the government that a lot of people do have things that are pending. The one thing you really want to be careful of is that you're not working in the United States until you've been approved, and that you don't take money from any US business or anything like that. So I would definitely talk to your attorney about that if you have something pending about traveling to the United States. Generally speaking, you should be okay, but there are a few things to watch out for, so keep that in mind. So yes, I believe we are kind of at the end of our questions, but here's the great news, everybody. You can feel free to reach out anytime. We routinely speak with people all over the world, right, Natalia?
Yeah, all days.
Yeah. All the time. We get calls, we get emails, we set up consultations. We'll usually speak to anyone for 10 or 15 minutes, just kind of about the basics of the E2. From there, if you feel like you want to set up a full hour consultation, we can do that as well. But feel free to reach out either via WhatsApp. So my WhatsApp number is 323-434-4385. Reach out via WhatsApp. Or you can email us, arupert@rupertlawgroup.com, ARUPERT@rupertlawgroup.com. Email any questions that may be outstanding at the end of this call or at the end of this Instagram Live, and be sure to check back, right? Natalia, I think we're going to be doing some more of these with more specific topics, right?
Yeah, for sure. O me pueden también escribir a mí en español a 317-440-8310 o a mi correo nropero@rupertlawgroup.com.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Please join us again. We'll be doing more specific topics. And if you have any other questions, again, please reach out via email, WhatsApp. We're here for you anytime you need any answers about the E2 visa. Thanks so much, Natalia.
Gracias.
And thanks, everyone, for joining us. Thank you. Okay,
Gracias.
bye bye.